Chapter 3. Our Changing Earth. Plate Tectonics. For thousands of years, people believed that the continents were fixed in their position. Their position and distribution of land and water, however, has not always been the same on the Earth's surface. In 1912, Alfred Wegener, a German meteorologist, made an attempt to explain the present-day distribution of continents and oceans. He proposed that millions of years ago, all landmass were joined together into a supercontinent, called the Pangaea. This is called Wegener's theory of continental drift. The new concept is called plate tectonics. The Earth's crust is broken into a number of plates, known as lithospheric or tectonic plates. There are 6 major and 20 minor plates, all of which float independently. The rate of movement of the plates is extremely slow, about a few millimeters each year. The energy required to move these plates is produced by the internal heat of the Earth. The surface area of the plates is very large in comparison to their thickness. Tectonic activities, such as earthquakes and volcanicity, occur along the plate margins. The plates are continuously moving. The movement of the lithospheric plates cause various changes on the surface of the Earth. On the basis of their source of origin, these forces are divided into 2 broad categories. The forces which originate from within the Earth are called endogenic forces. The forces which originate on the surface of the Earth are called exogenic forces. Earthquakes. Many factors, such as volcanic eruptions, movement of the lithospheric plates, or even bomb explosions can cause the surface of the Earth to shake. These vibrations are caused due to trembling of the Earth's surface is called an earthquake. The place of origin of an earthquake is called focus. The point on the Earth's surface, which is vertically above the focus, is called epicenter. Measuring earthquakes. The intensity of earthquake waves is measured on the Richter scale. The earthquake tremors are recorded by an instrument called seismograph. The science that deals with earthquakes is called seismology, and the earthquake scientists are called seismologists. Violent earthquakes cause serious damage to life and property. They may cause landslides in hilly areas, cracks in the Earth's crust, bursting of river dams, and blocking of rivers, raising or lowering of the sea floors or coastal regions. Volcanoes. In the past, a volcano was known as the Mountain of Fire. It is a circular opening through which hot molten materials erupt suddenly. This opening is called vent. Sometimes, the opening can be a long crack, which is called fissure. The volcanic cone or mountain is formed when the erupted materials accumulate around the vent. A funnel-shaped hollow at the top of the cone is called crater. Types of volcanoes. On the basis of frequency of eruption, volcanoes are classified into 3 types. Active volcanoes, these erupt frequently and throw out lava, gases, ashes and rocks. These volcanoes are also called living volcanoes. Stromboli and Etna in Italy are active volcanoes. Dormant volcanoes. Dormant volcanoes are volcanoes that have become quiet after erupting. These volcanoes do not show any indication of eruption in the near future. These volcanoes are also called sleeping volcanoes. Vesuvius in Italy is a dormant volcano. Extinct volcanoes. Extinct volcanoes have not erupted for hundreds of years. There is no possibility of any eruption in future. These volcanoes are also called dead volcanoes. Kilimanjaro in Africa and Rainy in USA are extinct volcanoes. Major landforms. The various landforms on the Earth's surface are formed by the various endogenic forces. This process does not involve the movement of broken rock materials. Weathering is generally followed by erosion. It is a process by which the broken rock materials are removed from the place of its origin and deposited elsewhere. The main agents of erosion are running water, river, sea waves, moving ice, glacier, and wind. Thus, different landforms are created by the agents of erosion and deposition. Work of a river. When it rains, some water seeps underground, some of it evaporates, and the rest forms small streams. Many small streams join together to form a river. The place where the river originates is called the source. Henceforth, the river moves down the slope in a valley. Generally, the river falls into a large water body, such as a sea, ocean or lake. The place where the river joins another water body is called the mouth. The area drained by the river and its tributaries is called the river basin. The running water in the river carries out its work in three ways. A. It erodes the rocks over which it flows. B. It transports the eroded materials. C. It deposits the materials which it has transported. The erosional work of the river results in the widening and deepening of the river valley. Such a valley is called a V-shaped valley. When the water of the river falls almost vertically down a steep valley side, a waterfall is formed. The Niagara Falls in North America, the Victoria Falls in Africa and Jag Falls in India are also famous. When the river leaves the mountains and enters the plains, the flow is no longer swift. The floor of the river valley widens due to continuous erosion along its banks. The river twists and turns to form large bends or loops. These are called meanders. Now the river erodes, transports and deposits the sediments. In due course of time, the river is able to cut the strip of land between the two loops and takes a straight course. During floods, the river generally overflows its banks. The fine alluvial soil brought by the river is deposited on the valley floor. This fertile part is called floodplain. In the floodplain, the coarse materials are deposited along the banks of the river. Thus, long ridges of low height are formed along the banks. These are called natural levees. When the river reaches its mouth, it carries a large volume of water and alluvium. The excess load is deposited as sandbars in the wide river channel. This divides the main channel into several channels, which are called distributaries. In this stage, triangular-shaped land formed between the distributaries due to deposition of sediments. This is called delta. Work of sea waves. Sea water performs erosional and depositional work. The work of sea waves is also known as marine erosion and marine deposition. Strong sea waves dash against the coast and dissolve or break down the rocks into fragments. In due course of time, these cracks become wide and form large cavities. This is called a sea arch. The pillars of rocks are left standing in the open water. These are called stacks. A steep vertical wall facing the sea is called a sea cliff. They are generally formed when the sea is calm and winds are of low velocity. When the broken rock materials are deposited on the sea floor near the coast, sandbars are formed. It then becomes a partially enclosed lake, which is called a lagoon. Work of moving ice. The snow which falls in high altitudes and high latitudes accumulates to form snowfields. The river of snow and ice, which moves very slowly, is called a glacier. When the glacier passes through a valley, rock fragments fall into moving ice from the mountain slopes. These rocks rub against the sides and the valley floor. It develops an armchair-like depression called cirque. When glacial ice melts, the depression is filled up with water and forms a lake. This lake is called tarn. Thus, rock materials are deposited on the sides and floor of the valley. These deposits form glacial moraines. Work of wind. Wind is the most effective agent of erosion in deserts. This is because the wind is unable to carry the rock particles high up in the air. The wind erodes the lower part of the rock more than the upper part. They are called mushroom rocks. The coarse particles are deposited in the form of hillocks known as sand dunes.